Hi, and thank you for joining me on this transmission. I want to talk about the energies of last week and what happened, what I saw in the astral planes, what I noticed, and would I call these energies collective? To some degree, yes, but I make these videos to help you on your own journey, and perhaps by sharing my experience, it may help someone with integration or understanding of what is currently happening. But please remember that at the end of the day, we all are on our own timeline. So please just take what resonates and discard the rest. So, a theme that I've noticed in the last week is receiving information in the astral planes and seeing that happening in real life 2, 3 days later. And to me, that is a big transformation, as previously I would get downloads, so to call them, and thinking that, wow, okay, this is my project right now. I'm going to put my heart and soul into it. This is where I need to direct my energy, only to find out that this project is probably going to take like 10 years to build and manifest here in the 3D world. And I'm like, ooh. So for years, I have been receiving this kind of information, like the seeds that takes much, 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 much longer to burst and grow and show results. And that may, if you are in a similar boat, have created feeling of stagnancy, like things never really move forward because things are happening so fast in the astral planes, and yet nothing shows up in the real world and creates maybe perhaps some confusion even. So what I've noticed, like I say, is a speed up of what shows up in the astral and things manifesting. And something I've noticed quite a few things, and some I'll keep for myself. But a thing that I did see was seeing a giant cake, like a giant round cake, and receiving a portion of this cake. Now, this cake was like bluish, and it didn't look like an actual cake with like foamy texture of an actual cake. It looked more like an energy, so there is some symbolism in that. And receiving a portion, meaning I was not gorging on this giant cake, like it was not too big, not too small, it was just a nice portion of this cake, and receiving it in my hands, like holding it in my hands. And the feeling I've got from that is a couple of things walking through is life is about to become a piece of cake. So if you have been struggling in the last few months, in the last few years, and like things feeling a lot more difficult than they should have been, now we can see ourselves transitioning into a period where things actually become easy again. Things flow in and out of our lives. Without any strenuous effort. It seems easy. It comes easily. I also felt like this cake was representing karma. So if we have been doing a lot of work for the collective in the background, clearing our shadows and all of that, now that means we have created good karma for ourselves, and receiving a piece of this cake meant that it's time for us, some of us, maybe all of us, maybe one of you, to start receiving all of that good karma that you've been seeding all of this time. So again, the aspect of having a giant cake is it may look like, wow, there's a lot of good karma for us there. Yes, but we can also be wise about it and just take the portion that we need to really anchor ourselves in this life, in this earth, in this timeline, and proceed accordingly with what's to come. So yesterday was May the 12th. It was a big, it was a full moon. It's full moon in Scorpio. I am not one who really follows astrology. I don't really give my power to that. But sometimes it becomes relevant unless I feel guided to, and unless it feels like, oh, like this is a big one and I need to pay attention. When it comes into my space on multiple from different channels, different people out of seemingly nowhere, I know I need to pay attention to it. And essentially, today starts a major new beginning. And I've mentioned that a couple of weeks ago, that May is a season of new beginnings, but it really astrologically apparently starts today. So yesterday you may have felt, May the 12th, a bit overwhelmed emotionally. Themes coming up. Even myself, last night, I cried a little bit. Like I felt unsettled in the world. And which was still an upgrade from being traumatized from the world or being in fight or flight. That was just some restlessness and some uneasiness. And clearing that up. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because we were at the threshold yesterday. If you felt that, or you're still kind of clearing a little bit, know that we are transitioning into a brand new beginning, and certain energies cannot come with us. They have to stay behind. Like they cannot, there's certain things we're no longer entertaining, certain dynamics we're no longer entertaining. And this is why if you felt really emotional in the last 24 hours, around like Monday, this is why. So in the way of receiving, if our hands are full, that means we may need to drop something in order to receive. And for me, I had to drop something pretty big. Over the last I spent years building a website to help people, like some kind of metaphysical services, and in a way of having the abilities to interact with multidimensional beings and extraterrestrials. I really wanted to bring that into the world and create an offer around this. So I had developed private scientific consultation work where I could help the scientific community with developing new technologies that are harmless, obviously, and would be good for nature, or like helping with the integration of certain things and things that I became aware too, like with remote viewing and essentially just wanting to help. And there was also the retreat center, the port, like the Stargate that I've opened, wanting to open a retreat center co-facilitated by a race of extraterrestrial beings who approach me, who are awesome. And they're like, hey, we can show up, we can co-create a retreat center together. And yet, despite my best effort to network, to try to gain momentum with these offerings, that led to nowhere. I've knocked on so many doors and none open, which is fine. And also by making myself available to the collective and translating all these cosmic energies and playing with these extraterrestrial beings, like, okay, can you teach me about science? And creating a whole playlist on YouTube. But at the end of the day, I had to realize that it was not sustainable for me financially to keep doing that. So I shut it all down. I shut everything down yesterday. I was like, yeah, okay. The website I took off and my offerings, my YouTube is already there, so it doesn't cost me anything to just keep it there. But my website, I was like, no, I can no longer keep this running. It's not viable, so I have to let it go. And you know what? I wasn't even sad about it. I was kind of happy because I knew I was closing a door so another one can open. So yes, if you're wondering about the Stargate that I opened, the Stargate is still very much open. The portals, you can still connect to Arakaria and all of these things. My YouTube channel is still there. It's just I'm not going to be posting as much as I used to, obviously, because I don't have the time to talk to the ETs about a whole bunch of cool stuff anymore, which is fine. But once I did that yesterday, something pretty magical happened. It was at night, it was dark outside, and I heard knocking on the door, and I knew it was not a human, and all my pets were inside. So I was like, who's there? And I went to open the door, and out of the darkness flew, and it was a real dragonfly. This dragonfly came, and it started like very rapidly making like donut, like upside down, like flying upward and backward. And I didn't know like if it was physically possible for a dragonfly to do that, but it did rapidly and doing circles around me and tapping me on my shoulder. And then when it nests itself on the ceiling of the kitchen of my house, spend the whole night there chilling. And in the morning, it just flew in the window. I pick him up and put him back outside. And I was like, wow, what is this a symbol of? And I talked to my friend because that's her symbol that's her logo for her business is a dragonfly, and she does energy work. And she's like, that's a new happiness, joy. That's a symbol of new beginnings and joy and happiness. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So another theme that came is for some of you, the Holy Spirit. I actually had Abraham this morning. Yeah, the Abraham who went up and did the thing, downloaded the tablets from the cloud type of thing. And essentially his energy is still very present with me at the moment. And he was talking to me about the Holy Spirit. And if you think about the human body being a physical vessel, if we fill our vessel with things like identities, fear, desires, attachment, that means there's no room for the Holy Spirit to come in. And what I was shown is now that for some of us, we've been and not clearing with our egos, our identities, our fear, and all the things. We've cleared enough of our vessel to welcome the Holy Spirit. And I'm not going to say anything more than that about this. I have my own ideas of what this means for me. But at the end of the day, you probably have your own ideas of what it means for you. And I wanted to leave it like that. So it is what it needs to be for you. So I'm just going to leave it there. I really generally feel that there's a lot coming this year. There's going to be a lot to be revealed, and I found that very exciting in a way. I'm very happy. So I do still have services for energetic support and activations. Essentially, if you are on the path of clearing your vessel to welcome the Holy Spirit and you're experiencing some stuff, you can book a private session with me. I'll be happy to help you. Just text me and I'll provide you with the details if you want more information about this. But this is what I have for today, May 13, and I don't know when I'm going to come back here. Unless there's something imminent that I want to share, I will come. Other than that, I hope you have a great week. Thank you for watching.